morning, good morning. Thank you for joining us on 104.1 where it's all about love. My name is Timothy, and right now we are on the journey, and I'm excited with the young gentleman I have in the studio. For those that are hearing us for the first time, last week we were here, an amazing story, and this is almost a continuation of that story because there was something mentioned in that story that really caught my heart, and I said, you know what, bring the person they're talking about in that story. Excited to have him. The gentleman I have in the studio is the founder, CEO of New Eyes, Jonal Wakisa. Jonal, it's good to have you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. It's good to have you too.
It is 10 days into the new year. You were a freshly married man. Yeah. How are you? How is it? How is Bufumbo? And how is the year so far?
I'm doing well. The year is so far good, and it ended well for my company, family, and actually I'm from Moff Production.
Hey.
I was from Moff Camp. Was actually doing a video filming for camp.
Wow. Yeah. And New Eyes, most of you must be wondering and saying, what is New Eyes? New Eyes is a photography and videography company, one of the best in the city, holding the latest cameras there to ensure that you have the quality you desire. But this young man has an amazing story. Our paths crossed, and we spent some time together a few years ago. Yeah. I got to know him on a personal note. We have inside jokes, him and I, that really keep us going every time we call each other. So you can be part of the show, and I can guarantee you are going to be moved by this story. You can be part of the show. Call us on 0776 106 104, or you can call us on 0753 0754 34 2020. Also, you can call us on 0753 104 104. We'll be getting into that in a short while. Jonal, how are you? How is Michala? And
Michala is doing well. The children are doing well. Michala prepared for me a very amazing breakfast.
Hey.
It's good.
You're like Abraham Lucy. Hot food in the morning.
Yeah, she's doing well. She's gone for work.
Oh,
yeah, actually, nice. My wife is a human resource manager.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, not married to a photographer and a videographer.
But so, also, you're an instructor.
Yeah, I'm an instructor at HVTI, instructing the students of journalism and media studies.
Wow. Now we'll be calling you a professor or a lecturer there.
Yeah.
But let's start with the icebreakers. Jonal, if you were to be anywhere in this world, who would it be and why?
Would it be and why? I think it would be Dev Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
Dev Ruby used to be one of our, we used to have band camp on the Toto Villages.
Yes.
And Dev Ruby used to be the one who was teaching us media and photography. And Dev Ruby has recorded a lot of the music videos for Toto Children's Choir. And also Dev Ruby used to also freelance with Hillsong.
Yes.
Yeah, and he used to move a lot. Him being a freelancer, he used to move a lot. I think I'm one of those people who wants to do a lot of freelancing and also with my company, but also travel a lot.
Wow. So let me ask the last icebreaker. A lesson you have learned that still stays with you up to now. What is that lesson?
Now, that lesson is teaching someone something doesn't mean they are going to take over your business.
Wow.
But teaching them and training them, they actually help you to actually work with you and help you manage some of your work.
Wow.
So teaching doesn't really doesn't let that person take away your clients, but that person helps you in your business.
Wow. So that's real deep revelation. Let's get to it. I met you when you were just joining your teens there.
Yeah.
And you were a young man. Jonal, what is it about your childhood that you remember that you can share with us comfortably? Let's start there before we get to New Eyes and how you went through high school and all these things.
Yeah. Personally, when I was growing up, actually in the villages, I actually did a lot of things. I ventured into a lot of things. I used to be a dancer,
Yes.
I used to play basketball. I used to be a goalkeeper. I used to do a lot of things. And
I remember rapping.
Yeah, and actually still rap and write music, but on a low base. Maybe when I actually settle down very well, I'll start actually producing the music with my friend and also shooting the music videos since we have the equipment, but that bit on the later stage. Now that point, I really had nothing that I was actually good at, surprisingly, and something that wasn't getting like satisfaction.
Yes.
Because like on like basketball, I used to bench a lot. Then dancing, I used to dance with Transformation 256. Now that we had an issue whereby Transformers used to come late. So when they tell us that the dance is supposed to start at 7, I'm actually there even before 7. Now the members come in normally around like 8 or 9 when I've actually moved on. And I used to, so that time thing disturbed me a lot. So I ended up not practicing with them a lot. So I lost a bit interest in dancing. Then, of course, I think one thing that I started doing well is when I joined the media team in the villages. I started doing presentation. Then we had started doing photography, learning small. Then I used to serve insurance church. Actually, I grown up serving insurance church with Auntie Maria, and we used to do like camp news and all those things. Then we had an international volunteer that came into children's church. She actually had a camera. She was like, it's because they told her I love photography and I love taking pictures. So she was like, you can be taking photos, you can sleep with it. Anytime you're tired, you can actually bring it back whenever you want. And that gave me access to the camera. And we used to have one of our videographer from communication department, used to be Robzo. So Robzo was a bit busy, but he sent me a lot of notes about photography. So when the international volunteer let me with the camera, Robzo helped me with the notes. I actually printed all the notes and I had a file about photography. So I read all the notes. I was practicing and I used to read and shoot at the same time. Then I started shooting different events at in the villages, the princess experience, the Bible challenges. And those days photography really wasn't a thing. So which means we had a lot of people, a low competition on people that really wanted to do photography. So it's one of those list things that were basically done. So I used to do events and they're like, oh, Janelle, come for an event, come and take. And I used to take pictures for the events. Now there's a time I printed the photos of the princess experience that I gave to one of my classmates. Of course, the photos weren't that good, but she was like, you know what? Because you're doing your best and you're trying very hard, I'm going to buy these photos. I printed out the photos and she paid me the money. And to cut the long story short, I started doing photography a lot and people actually got interested in doing photography. Now, those days I used to play basketball, so I shifted from playing basketball to actually traveling with the basketball team to take photos and record videos. So which means I would move. So there's no bench things, there's no not playing on the match, but I was moving with the team, getting the VIP treatment. You know, now you're like a coach. There's the time we used to go for some games up country, and my tag used to have coach. And it was very, very amazing at that journey. And that friend looks at me right now because we're actually good friends. They're like, oh, Jonah, actually, I even want you to be the one to actually shoot my wedding. And if you remember Auntie Maria used to let me sleep with actually the computer. Since I was a media team lead, I used to sleep with the computer, practice a lot and a lot. Not a long story short, I shot Auntie Maria's wedding, all the functions of Auntie Maria. And Auntie Maria's video, the one that I did, the short film, is the most watched video on New Eyes Photography YouTube channel. I think it's around either 34K or 38K. So it trended a lot in 2022. And if you search on YouTube and look for the wedding short films, it actually pop out in 2022.
And I'm really grateful you have started from your journey of photography. But before we even dig into it further, there are about two things. Let me tell you the reason why I asked you to come. So Dr. Calvin was here last week.
Oh.
He was seated exactly where you were seated, and we were talking about his life and seasons. And it was a good topic for us to start with at the beginning of the year, because everyone goes through seasons in their lives.
Yeah.
And we'll get to yours in a bit. So when he mentioned the testimony of you and him meeting and how you got a camera.
Yeah.
That for me was very amazing. Did you know, before I even ask you the question I was going to ask you, did you know that they emptied their savings to buy that camera that they gave you?
You actually didn't tell me.
So I'm breaking the news for you here. So Calvin was here and he broke the news. Him and his wife decided to empty their savings, buy a camera for 10 million shillings to give to you.
Yeah.
And for me, that was a very humbling experience. Now, you knowing about that, how do you feel about it?
It's so amazing. Actually, in my S4 VAC, we were talking about prayer requests. Then, of course, Coach Calvin was one of my uncles in Bulova. Normally, that time, he was where he was in charge of us at that moment. So they asked, so what do you want us to pray for you?
Yes.
Then I was like, I want to pray so that I get the laptop and I could be editing. Guess what? Coach Calvin was like, I'm going to give you a laptop. Now imagine that was the first laptop that I've ever had in my entire life.
Wow.
The first laptop in my S4. Then coach wanted, and coach is the one who introduced me actually to shooting the academy photos and videos. So I used to travel with them through coach, and they wanted to start up something. They're like, Jonah, you know what, we don't actually want to start a business. I was like, you know what, we actually, you can start the camera hiring business, and because of there's a lot of photographers that need equipment.
Yes.
And so him and the wife, Auntie Esther, they actually decided to buy the camera, and I was the first person to actually test the cameras. Every time they used to buy equipment, like more equipment, this regional, please go and test this, and you'll give us feedback. And I look right now, and Cams and Pixels is one of the biggest company in Uganda that is hiring out equipment.
That's very true.
Imagine starting from one camera to now like several cameras, which is actually amazing.
And that brings me to my two questions. Humble beginnings, one, but you know, there are parents out there. Children are still on holiday right now. Towards the end of this month, they'll be going back to school. Early next month, they'll be going back to school. And all they desire is the child to be a lawyer, to be a doctor. But you're in photography. You're making ends meet. You're taking care of your family. And God has blessed you extensively. What would you tell a parent out there that, I wouldn't want to use the word stuck in their ways, but this is what we know. We know nothing different. How would you tell them to embrace new opportunities that are there?
Yes, you know, we know our field in those days actually was one of those fields that what people are looking at as a very low field.
Yes.
And if you look in this era, we are having a lot of companies going on TikToks. And what are they using? Cameras to do content and all those things. Personally, for me, I did my S6. I did my S4, my S6 up to actually university. But for me, by the time I went to university, actually I had the skills. So actually I was looking for what? For papers. So if the parent who is out there, if your child is actually interested in doing something, let them do it. Because actually, photography actually pays me more. Actually, it's literally what I do, pays me more than any other thing. Because imagine, a skill is something that no one can take away from you.
Yes.
People have been chased away from their jobs, but people that have had skills are the people that actually doing it. If you look at decorators, someone might have done something different and they join decoration, they're doing it to the place. Because events actually don't stop. There's events each and every day, and all needs coverage. Now that comes to memory. Recently, Pastor Eric, when I was teaching academy, Pastor Eric was like, I want you to help me, my child, to train my child and all those things. I was like, I might not be able to have like enough time, but bring your son to the Watoto Academy because he could be there. So talking about Micah, so Micah came knowing nothing. So Micah, because academy used to happen like after school, those after school activities. So Micah came and studied. He learned editing. He actually did extra practice. Right now, Micah is good. He's actually the one who is editing and shooting. Actually, the Auntie Florence, the mother, bought a camera specifically to do her content. Now, guess who is shooting the content? Micah. He's shooting the content, and editing the content. And Micah, we normally academic classes are normally 4 months to 6 months. And imagine in that month, he's doing editing. I think he's now either 11 years old and still in school, but doing editing. You get it? So, which means he already has a skill and he's already continued to study. So maybe he becomes a very good businessman. So, which means he can manage photography and videography on his side, and he can also still manage the business. So, having those skills actually very, very good. So, we recently had some boot camp in MOF camp. Several students wanted to learn photography and video. Actually, we did like those breakouts, and several people were so interested in learning, and I was so happy because this is that generation that is learning so fast. And surprisingly, one of my wife's sister is actually interested in video. So on the last day, he was like, "I want to be on camera, on the video camera. I want you to rest." So he shot all the videos for the event. That is actually interesting. And so any parent there who wants their children to learn, please let them learn. Because this area is a bit so different. A lot of things are changing at a very faster rate. So if you don't normally go with a bit of a trend, you might actually be left behind. Actually, I employ some of my one of my brothers, Edward. He did clinical medicine.
Yes.
Then he got interested in videography. I actually work with him sometimes and I pay him. Imagine because getting normally a job these days in the clinical world is a bit tricky. And so he learned another skill, which was photography. So Eddie can take photos, Eddie can edit videos, and he does his TikTok videos. His account is trending. There's a lot of likes. And imagine from the skill he actually learned. So he normally goes and maybe tubers, like go and assist different hospitals. After he's paid his, I think then comes back in the doing this skill of editing and video, which is actually interesting.
And Janelle, you mentioned something that I really want you to dig further into. You mentioned you played basketball, you sang, you rapped,
Yeah.
and you were not feeling comfortable there.
Yeah.
Until you got into videography. How did you find your place? How did you know this is it? Yeah.
So I think for the kids that are growing up right now, I always tell them venture in everything.
Yeah.
So that you have one thing that you can do, but you know everything. Because when I see dancers dancing, I can actually critique. If I see basketball playing, I'm actually know that this is something. So which means I knew like a lot of information from all the other things than specializing from before.
Yes.
So when I was dancing and with a group, people aren't keeping time, so it was disturbing me. And the situation I was dealing with people that weren't aligning with what I wanted. Now for basketball, because for basketball I didn't really have much time, so which means I didn't really actually perfect it so much. And actually we had now those days basketball was so trending.
Yes.
And to be a basketballer in school, it was something very, and because of the schedules, I didn't really put much time in basketball, and I was not satisfied with it. Someone telling you, well done,
Yes.
I love it. I actually didn't get much that into that. Now, when I did photography at the time where few to know people are doing photography, and someone telling me, Jonald, thank you. Whereby every event that was there, they were calling me, which means that shows that there was importance in what I was doing. And at the end of that, I realized, you know what, photography is my thing. Imagine by the time you sit down and read notes and read books about photography or about something, that shows that you're really interested. Because I knew I was going to teach people, so I need to have knowledge. And for me to manage some of the things, I need to have knowledge of something. So I decided to actually read. So by the time I started reading, imagine I even pinned some notes on my bed. Like there's a picture that has photography in one picture. I printed it. I put them beside my bed. So every time I was going to be shooting, I used to look at it and like, oh, this would be this would be. And imagine by the time you reach at that point, that shows that you're reading it, which means it gave me a lot of satisfaction. And I used to shoot events at the village, sometimes because of food. I was like, as long as there is food, I'm going to be there. But I realized that, at that time, no one was actually looking at photography at that big. And actually, right now, we made photography big in the villages, and a lot of kids have been inspired. And I even employ some of them, surprisingly. Recently, I had one of my brothers, grew up with from Watoto, is one of my student HBT. I brought him home. So when we were shooting videos, we used to go with him, and he actually edited all the weddings. Each wedding he edited, I paid him money. The guy went back for Christmas and he was loaded with some money, which is interesting. So realizing that this is what I can do best after venturing now, that was in actually S3. That's where I knew that, this is the path that I'm going to take. Because growing up, actually, when someone asked me, what do you want to be? I actually told them I wanted to be a pastor because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Being a doctor, no, because even my grades, and actually wasn't very good at school, and I wasn't very bad, so I was there medium. So they couldn't tell me that he's bad at school because I wasn't bad. That's not when I realized that this is what I wanted. Actually, put much emphasis on it and actually started even reading hard because at least I knew I had something just in case anything went wrong.
And you speak about photography and videography with so much passion, where you came from. And I'm grateful that you've spoken to a young man there. You've also spoken to a parent or a guardian that is out there to let the child explore these different areas and be able to see what goes on.
Then until they specialize on one.
Especially, but encourage them in everything.
Yes.
But the thing that I hear you saying, you speak with a lot of passion. There is this competition of money versus satisfaction. You were satisfied by the work you do, you're excited by it. Yes, the money is a complementary thing. But how do you find which one should come first? The satisfaction that is not tangible, but also the money that needs to put food on the table.
Yes. Actually, if you work to really actually work for money, you might actually never get satisfied. Let me tell you, for me, a client who is satisfied, that means more money. Personally, I'm a person who doesn't do a lot of advertisement, but I've gotten a lot of clients from recommendation. So when I get a client, even if they are low budget client, I work for them at the best of my ability. Their work is going to be seen, and they're going to ask them, who worked for you? And they're going to come back. So most gigs that I've gotten is from recommendation. And another thing, and also serving in ministry. Personally, I serve in the media team. And for me, I've grown up serving. That's what we do. Because almost all the skills, I got them from serving. So I always tell people that want to learn media and camera, because first of all, at church, they have equipment. And they're always calling for volunteers. And that's the best place to learn. Now you're going to go for a company to teach you, they're not going to have time. But if you go and volunteer in church, every time you're volunteering, you're actually learning. And for me, I've never left volunteering in church. Every time they call me like, oh, we need a camera operator here, I'm always able to be available to serve. Because now, I think that sometimes that's the best way for me to actually give back to God. God has given me the skill. God has given me big opportunities. God has provided me with equipment. And that equipment sometimes is the same one I use to actually serve Him. You get it? And it's actually so amazing, whereby when you look at money, money might not ever be actually there. And sometimes people get money and eat it without investing. Now, for me, when I get money, I first look at what am I missing that is going to enhance the business.
Yes.
Because I know this is what is missing, so that's what I buy. Now, if I get like money and I eat it, and imagine my lens is faulty, which means my work is going to be very bad.
Yes.
But if I get money, reinvest it back in the business and buy a beautiful lens, someone is going to look at that video and like, this video is beautiful. This video is nice. So which means some people just eat the money. But when you get the money and invest it to buy something better. Now let me tell you something. Now with my company, when we're actually shooting, I bought talkbacks. I bought 5 pairs of talkbacks. Everyone who is on the team, let it be an assistant, has a talkback for communication. So in case I'm shooting and I need a tripod, I'm going to tell the assistant, please get me a tripod. Without just calling, where. Or someone is in my shot, I tell him, please leave my shot without actually touching them. And I bought shirts for everyone, which means I tell them, come with black pants. I have shirts for everyone.
Yes.
So everyone looks clean and smart. So which means you invest into something. Because if it was for money, it would have gone. But if you buy something that is going to actually, when people see the new ice photography and they're like, wow, you people are so professional. And imagine we are like all young, but the things we do, like, wow, I'm going to recommend, like, everyone is smart. You know, normally on weddings, photographers normally eat the last. But on weddings that new ice shoot, we actually normally the first people to eat. Everyone's smart, so you enter the line, no one is actually going to do what teachers. So because you're smart, you get it. Now, if you actually look at the money, you might not get it.
Wow.
But if you reinvest the money is actually going to come back.
And as you hear from Jonal, he's talking about presentation, how you present yourself, how you put yourself out there, but continue to reinvest in the business there. But later when we come back from this breather, Jonal, something that I need you to stay lingering on as we get this breather.
Yeah.
The digital space. Today, someone's phone can be able to do a video, to do photography. How are you managing the tide of this change that is coming around? But please answer that as soon as we come back from this quick commercial breather.